Hello, good evening, how's it going, how are you? You are in the Human Performance Project. You are not on some softcore porn channel, you are in the right place. Again, this is the HPP with ABC, the Human Performance Project, with your host, Adam Benjamin Coleman. That is me. Why am I in the bathtub? That's a good question. Because it's delightful. Because I talk a lot about time management, and I figured this would give me an excuse to practice what I preach and be nearly naked on, the interweb. I'm famous. No. Because I don't think there's a zoom feature on the camera that is going to cause a problem with my anatomy anyways, so we're safe. No, okay, back to serious stuff here. So performance, human performance. We think of it most often probably athletically, right? Or I guess now with the advertising skew and everything, we think of sexual performance with all of the male enhancement commercials and stuff that we see. But performance is a pretty broad spectrum concept in our lives. There's a lot of areas we have to perform and perform specifically and differently. In other words, we, parent, son or daughter, employee, boss maybe, coach, teammate, you name it. There's a ton of different dynamics and different relationships that can exist. And you want to be able to be consistent and be pleased with the effort that you give in each of those little arenas of life, right? So, that all being said, I guess, relationships are a part of human existence. Like, they're necessary. They also influence us greatly, whether we're like Zen and don't let outside influences really shake our tree, or whether we're totally codependent or dependent and just cannot, find a way to have a healthy relationship without spending every second of the day with that person and feeling like you need to go through their phone and just know everything that they're doing, and do it with the attitude or intent that like they're doing something wrong. So that's not where you want to be. Like I know that sometimes it feels like it's necessary probably, and it's just not, it doesn't ever feel good. And I guess at this point in my life, like, if it doesn't make me feel good, or if it makes me feel like I'm doing something sketchy, then I try to get it away from me. That all being said, like any advice and stuff that I say on this channel, it is my personal experience. It's not professional advice. It's not intended to be. It's not a medical prescription. It's not advocating you to take any specific course or deviate from any specific course. It is specifically experience that I've had in life with the issues that we're mentioning in each individual episode. So, that all being said, do not, think that this is licensed medical. What's the word I'm looking for? Licensed medical gospel, that you can just totally count on, like, this is going to solve all my problems. It might work, I've found some solace in the things that I'll share with you, but it worked for me, we are all individuals, and that is both beautiful and frustrating at the same time. So what worked for me may not work for he, her, him, she, whoever else, or it might work a little bit, so that's why critical thinking and taking information from not just one source, and maybe not even just two sources, but 3 or 4, and listen to all of them, then kind of take the sum total of what you agreed with and what you didn't agree with and separate it and see from there kind of like what jives with your gut instinct and what doesn't, and there you have your answer. So it takes patience. It's hard to do. We want everything now. We want answers now. We want solutions now. We want, what we want now. And I am like the worst king baby. I'll sit there and bang on my high chair and just be like so indignant and pissed that I don't have some little inane thing like right now or yesterday. But when that mindset comes around, it's usually because something else is going on, which brings me back to kind of the whole relationship aspect of things. So as you that have watched the channel, or you that are just tuning in to the channel may or may not know, I have done a wide variety of different sports competitively. So from bicycle motocross to competitive bodybuilding. And I enjoy all those very much. They, because I have a very type A addicted personality, you know, I have a tendency to let them take over, and I just get totally focused on them and try to be, you know, best in the world at everything I do, which is just not realistic. I can be the best, you know, in my world at everything I do and give it my best effort, but, you know, there's always going to be someone better than you. There's always going to be someone younger than you. There's always going to be someone hungrier than you. There's always going to be somebody that you can learn from. It's not a secret. Well, to some people it is, or they just choose to not acknowledge it, but it should be common knowledge that, you know, don't look over your shoulder too long, because trust me, he's there, you know. Just focus on what's ahead of you and do the best that you can with the time that you got in front. So anyway, that being said, like it's hard for me to keep a balance of any kind in my life. That's been a downfall for me, and you know, I've struggled with addiction, and that's something that I'm not really ashamed to talk about, because I feel like it's important and it might end up saving some lives. But because I'm so all or nothing, you know, I do certain things addictively. Sports and bodybuilding, relationships, they all happen fast and furious. It's like a comet hitting the earth. It's not a gradual sprinkle, it is a tsunami, you know? And sometimes that's my doing, sometimes it's mutual, and I get help from the other side. And it's not, actually very rarely is it with like malintent. What I mean is, I don't think there's been very many instances in my life where my partner was like sitting there twisting their mustache like, well, first of all, my partner never should have had a mustache, I hope to God, but anyway, you know, like plotting some devious little scheme about how they're gonna just like do a Mortal Kombat fatality and rip my heart out of my chest and feed it to some pigeons on the park bench over there. Like, it's just, it's not that way. Like, that's giving myself too much credit. People sometimes act that way and we take it that way, but it's pretty rare that someone is that like intent on just totally like sinking your battleship. So yeah, it I guess kind of understanding that it's not as big of a deal and as personal as I think that it is helps take the sting out of it. Logically, I know a lot of this stuff, but logic doesn't really hold a big place at the table. It has a little place at the table, but it's not the main placeholder. When you talk about relationships, love reigns supreme, and love is not always logic. In fact, love is sometimes seemingly the exact butt-ass opposite of logic. And it's a test of faith, you know? Like, I really realized this in my last relationship that I was in. It's like, it is a complete test of faith, as far as like the faith and energy that you're going to put into someone and their situations, and especially if it's somebody that has any specific kinds of struggle, you know, like addiction for me or whatever else. Like, when you take somebody on as a partner, like, it's not just a superficial like, oh yay, we can take Instagram photos like sunset heart hands. Like, no, you're taking everything, you know, their kids, their relationships from the past, if there's still some collateral damage, like their family. I mean, it's a responsibility. Like, it's not just some little, okay, yeah, let's do this, and if it doesn't work out, well, okay, you know, like, no, it's a little more serious than that, or it should be. Sorry, that's my opinion. I find that if I don't approach things with seriousness, I come across as just a complete flippant asshole and just kind of drift from one impulse to the next, you know, and I don't really want to be treated like that. I try to operate from the standpoint of do unto others. That may sound corny, but if you really think about it, like, okay, how would I want someone to treat me in this situation? Okay, I'll do that to this person. Like, I don't really see that as corny. I see that as pretty like clear cut and dry, logical, you know. Like, I definitely don't always know what to do in every situation, and I don't claim to, but that's a pretty good litmus test, you know. Like, at the very least, most likely I'm not going to increase the amount of damage that I'm causing, right? So, like, sometimes I found it's better to sit on your fucking hands than to try to like do anything with them. Like, sometimes doing nothing is better than doing something if you don't know what to do yet. Instead of just moving nervously and then like making a mess for yourself, like, just sit and relax so you get some instruction, you know. But it's hilarious. Like, we want to do something when there's nothing to be done, and relaxation would be helpful, and then we don't do jack shit when there's a mountain pile of things that we need to take care of. I don't know. Again, talking about me and my character defects, but I know I'm not the only one that has them. So anywho, I'm gonna add some water here. So back to the whole relationship portion. You know, it's human beings, we were not designed to be alone. You know, we were designed to have a companion. We were designed to have a mate. We were designed to fit with that mate like a puzzle piece and be able to create and sustain life. Like, it's a pretty freaking awesome thing, you know? But it's kind of lost its luster, and people don't really take it for that anymore. It's really a lot of different things. Status, personal gratification, fear, being alone, or financial. You know, people think it's easier if you get married. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. Most often it's not. Also, so everyone knows, like, qualification, I am a victim of divorce. So I just turned 38 on May, and I was married and divorced before I was 23. So, like I said, fast and furious, you know, and not something I would change, but definitely something that I could find details within that time frame that I could use better or have done better, for sure. And I'm not the only one that can say that, but that's okay. And because I accepted that, I actually got the surprise of a lifetime. And like, my ex-wife, who hated me, we hated each other first, you know, and she'll tell me now she's proud of me for the efforts that I'm making, and mean it, you know, like, that's the crazy thing. And I don't know, man, like, I didn't really think that when I got divorced that would happen, because, like I said, we just were mortal enemies at first, you know. There was nothing good going on. But, you know, time heals all things, and introspection and working on yourself will definitely accelerate the process. So what I mean by that is, like, I'll talk a lot about accountability as we go forward, because I'm gonna do my very, very best at letting you guys in on this next 365 days of my life, because I'm going to do some things differently and see what happens. So I don't want to get too far into the goals and tell you what they are, because I've just been thinking a lot recently, and I kind of realized that if you start to, like, let people in on what you're doing and what your goals are and what you're going to be working towards and everything, like, I don't know, you're going to get frustrated and probably burn out on that goal, because people love to tell you you can't do something. You know, like, if my goal was to, like, invent something, you know, and I told someone that, they'll be like, oh, yeah, really? Yeah, you should probably rethink that, bro. Like, that's going to be a waste of time, you know? I don't see that happening. Well, fuck you very much, you know? Like, thanks for the positive input, man. But people love to throw rocks at shit that's shiny, you know? They just do. Like, they see something that somebody else has that they want, or that they have some kind of a feeling about, and all of a sudden the negative cannons come out and just start blasting away, man. So, I don't know, I think it's one of those things that, like, I'm going to try to keep to myself and see if it doesn't come to fruition a little bit more efficiently, or promptly, rapidly at least. But, like I said, I do want to document it and share the process, because it is going to be, you know, different, and I think I know it'll be very, very, very positive in terms of the influence on my life holistically. So, back to the holistic thing, like, I talked about, you know, the balance in life and everything, and if you can imagine your life in a pie chart, where every little slice is a segment of your life, and it has a percentage of what segment that takes up. What percentage do relationships take up? What percentage does self-love and self-care take up? What percentage does your higher power or God take up? What percentage does your family, or people who are your family through love and loyalty? It's not always just bloodline. You know, what's your commitment to them like? How's everything going there? You You know, like there is so many different areas of life that are so easy to neglect. And once that neglect occurs, it may not seem like a big deal, but it sets off a chain of events that sometimes will change lives in the long run. And as you get older and more experienced, you level up a few times and go through the grinder, you see these things start to happen, and you can start to see them before they happen in a lot of cases. And that is cool, but it also sucks, because sometimes you can see people that you care about heading down a road that you're just like, motherfucker, turn around, but I can't stop you, and, you know, something bad happens. So, I don't know, that's where the importance of prayer and a higher power comes in for me, and faith, you know, like, I was brought this far and not dropped on my face yet, still alive and breathing, so why wouldn't he help me out one more time if I'm doing my part, you know? So I don't know, for me, like I said, I have just recently modified or ended a relationship that was unlike anything that I've ever really been a part of, for multiple reasons. And before I even get into that, like, it was the greatest gift in the shittiest wrapping paper, you know? Like, it's something that will change my life forever, and I really can't express enough gratitude to the people that were involved in the last, like, 6 months, because, you know, it may not have, like, all felt good at the time, but it seriously, it is some learning experiences and some coping mechanisms and some just knowledge that is, you know, it's gonna change the course of my life. And, you know, things happen that are going to change the course of hers. And I hope that it goes swimmingly. I hope that it goes the way she wants it to. When I met her, it was under kind of strange circumstances, I guess. And like I said, I'll unfold some of these mysteries as we go through. But I didn't know how to deal with where I was. It was uncharted territory for both of us. But from the beginning, like, I knew that it could end badly, and probably would, at least for me. I would end up getting my feelings hurt. But I was committed to being there anyways, and telling this person the truth, you know, and loving them because they deserved it, and trying my very best to set kind of a mock example of what life could be like, I guess, under different perspectives, because life is very, very different depending on how you view things. You know, I mean, it can be a fortune or a misfortune. It's just all on how you look at it. And there are certain people in the world that are just, they need to be angry, they need to be venomous, they need to have something to be upset about, and like someone to blame, and just always be off the handle and out of pocket, you know? And they're impossible to talk to, even if you want to talk to them, you know? And it just leaves this like pit in your stomach where you're like, man, like, what am I doing? Like, why can't I talk to this person? And it's hard. It is hard. And I've never had to deal with it before. And this put me through the paces, you know? But like I said, I am beyond grateful for the experience, and I am still learning from it and about it. And when I say it, the topic of narcissism and how much broader that is than I originally thought is what I'm referring to. You know, like, I thought that it just meant that you're selfish. Not so much. There's different types and different severities and like abuse tactics that are used knowingly or unknowingly by the narcissist, and it's just knuck and futz, dude. It's a lot. I mean, it's like, if you like psychology, it is definitely something to check out if you haven't done so already. So between my interest in psychology and then my interest in you know, hippie voodoo shit like energy and yeah, stuff like that, empathy, being an empath, I just found it really intriguing because it explained a lot to me. It explained why I was so heavily affected in certain situations by certain people, you know, and why with one person it would be like I just got hit by a truck, and with another person it would just be like, me, no big deal, you know. And yeah, I just never, it sucks. You know, it's something I'm glad I know, but at the same time, it'd be like being able to read someone's mind. Be like, it's a cool power, but I don't want to know everyone's thoughts about me because some of them are going to be shitty, you know? But anyway, like, this relationship, it changed my life completely. And I didn't know what to do with it all the time, you know? And God bless her for being patient with me through some of my mood swings and trying to kind of find myself because, you know, I was a fucking mess at times, like, totally sober too, and just a mess. Like, I did not know how to, like, ask for what I needed and set down a boundary of what I couldn't give, you know, without being a cocksucker, you know? Like, you can be strong and have boundaries without being a fucking jerk. It's all in the delivery. It is. And that, for me, is a struggle because apparently I'm a very intense person. And it seems like I am yelling or angry when I'm really not. I am probably just emphatic or passionate or really super jazzed about whatever it is that we are conversing about at that moment in time. However, I do have a serious blackout rage that, if I get pushed to a certain point, exists. I think almost all people do. There is, I definitely have come to understand that we all have polar opposites within us. So the very nicest person that you meet on the street, Mother Teresa, in her also lives like Mother Teresa singing with like a death metal scorch. You know what I mean? I don't know if you can imagine that, but just like the exact opposite. Just anger, just venomous, just sharp tongue, tear you down, hate you. Now, is that like what she chooses to demonstrate? Absolutely not, you know, thankfully. But it exists, you know, and it exists in every human being. We all have that opposite. It may not be your primary personality, you know, or what you exercise or utilize all the time, but it exists. It does. And we have to embrace that dark side because it's still a part of us. We have to love it just as much as the light side. And the sooner we do that and learn to utilize it and live with it and not fight against it, the sooner you're going to start to have some more balanced days and not just be like a tug-of-war doll for two, like, steroid-laden pit bulls or some shit. I don't know. I can't think of a good analogy. But anyway, you get what I'm trying to say. Like, a lot of people, myself included, I found out about anxiety and depression personally. But my dad, who is not a licensed therapist, told me, son, the reason that you feel so discontent is because you're living a life that is not congruent with your, what did he say? My, oh, sweet Jesus. My moral compass. Right, so I'm doing shit that I don't believe is okay. In other words, he was right. I was living a life that I did not belong in. And as a result, there was a lot of turmoil inside of me, you know? I was anxious about shit that hadn't happened yet that I couldn't control. And I was depressed and angry about shit that had already happened that I couldn't control. You know, like, I don't know if that rings any bells to you, but like that's a pretty miserable situation. So, realizing it, step one. Doing something about it, a little more difficult. It's not difficult, it's just not easy, right? Like, it takes changing pretty much everything, the whole, like, positivity deal. Like, I kind of try to liken it to training a puppy. So when you see it crapping on the carpet, you don't just run up and kick it. You, stop, wrong. Pick them up, take them outside, try to encourage them to finish on the grass, okay? First thought, wrong. Don't poop on the carpet. So when you catch yourself responding some kind of a way, whether it's angry or depressed or whatever you're trying to avoid, hit the brakes, stop. I'm not gonna poop on the carpet. I don't wanna act this way. I'm gonna change my thought process. And if you do that enough, you will create new neurological pathways in your brain that will actually elicit a different response automatically to this thing that you're trying to adapt to or change to, right? So don't believe me, look it up, seriously. Neurological mapping, Caroline Leaf is a really good source to look at. But it's real, and that'll work in any aspect of human behavior. But it's just, there's so many excuses. Oh, I feel silly like stopping myself and like coaching myself or talking to myself. You don't feel silly yelling at yourself and punching the steering wheel in your car in traffic. The fuck's up with that? You know? I don't think I have time. You spend 35 minutes in the line at Starbucks every morning. Cut that out and see what you can get done. Oh yeah, I don't know. I'm just not sure. Self-improvement and true happiness is for everyone that wants it, but not everybody that needs it. Sad but true. Probably the hardest part for me, watching somebody that I feel like has potential that is just seemingly almost intent on marching off a cliff over here for some reason. It's just, I don't know. But anyway, so this relationship, man, I lost myself completely. My sleep schedule, my eating habits, my workout schedule, my workout routine, working out at all. I lost 20 something pounds in like the first couple months. I also got sick. And luckily I beat that. But, all of these things happening are not an accident. I was just in a bad way, man, and like mentally more than even the physical shit that I described to you there. And I didn't feel like I was getting any help from my other half, and I didn't know how to express that, and it just mounted into some frustration that I really can't put into words. And she could feel it and obviously didn't like it, so her behavior towards me changed, and rightfully so. My behavior towards her had changed because I'm frustrated and I don't really know how to deal with this or who I'm even getting or who I'm talking to sometimes. And I'm really like trying to be patient, forgiving, but at the same time, I don't even know if I know what I'm being patient with. Does that make sense? Like, I mean, should I be attacking this from the angle of like knowledge and like trying to figure out like, I don't know. There's still a lot of questions in my mind. Hopefully this will answer some of them for me. But again, that is not to say that I would exchange any of the time that I got to spend with this woman. She's awesome. I really, really hope that I still find a way to get an interview with her on this channel. That was supposed to happen, but, complications. But God is good, and He puts things on a timeline that is His will and perfect. So, all I really need to do is be prepared. I don't need to necessarily be all gung-ho to make shit happen. But anyway, see, most people would have gotten really pissed about losing the schedule and their sleep cycle and all that stuff because I am type A control freak motherfucker, right? I'm a bodybuilder. It's what I do. So when I started losing all this, I didn't even think I knew who I was, okay? Things got kind of bad, like I expressed. And instead of giving up and doing what I normally would have done, I somehow just had the internal thought and drive and voice to turn to God and use this time and this worry as something to build my relationship with Him, another relationship that I neglected, right? If I am good with His relationship, with our relationship, God and mine, His mercy and salvation are enough alone. Like, it's a good day. I woke up. Done. If I am truly living in faith, I don't need any of the shit that I worry about at all. Like, I will be provided for. I always have been. And it's really done a lot for me. Even in some really, really dark times, I have managed to make good decisions. I have managed to, lean on a power greater than myself instead of a bottle about a third of my size, or a fifth of my size, I should say. there's a lot of old behaviors that I could have run back to, and that, I'm not gonna lie, they went through my brain because that's what I conditioned my brain to think about when things go wrong. But instead of pooping on the carpet, I realized, you know what, I'm gonna be the one that has to clean this mess up anyways. So no, I'm gonna poop in the toilet. And then I'm not gonna do something stupid. So, like take a bath on TV. But anyway, it is a huge growth experience. Like, that's what pain is. When you are miserable and just things are not going your way, look around and think what you can learn from the situation, and think what you have to be grateful for. Because you can't be pissed off and grateful at the same time. You just cannot do it. We are spoiled, and we are entitled, and we are lazy, and we are selfish and greedy, and just pretty much all of the 7 deadly sins. We have so much more than we need, and we don't use hardly any of it. We just look the other way when we see someone struggling, and it's awful. It's awful. Because there's a lot of people struggling right now. But anywho, so, losing all this stuff, I gained a lot. I slowly started to look into different areas of exercise, different things. I started to revisit different hobbies I hadn't thought about in a long time. Her and I started to get healthier at certain points. She taught me how to do things I'd never done before, as far as just little hobby stuff. I read her things that she'd never been exposed to before. It was cool. It was a good learning experience, probably one of my favorite parts of the relationship, honestly. But it was just tough because it would go back and forth a lot. She was stuck in a place where her ex was using her kids to manipulate her. She wanted to be with her kids and her pets. Her ex wouldn't let her see the kids or her pets, with my presence being anywhere in the greater 50 states. And that obviously created a lot of tension for both of us, because I love kids, and I really wanted to get to know hers. And I'm not a bad person, I'm really not. And I understand that he wasn't happy, but it wasn't all to be directed at me, but I get it, and I'll take it, whatever. But anyways, it was tough. And in the midst of all that, I still started to think of getting back to exercise. I started to think about the things that make me happy, that I can read about or talk about and not get burned out on. And cycling and exercise and supplements and, hormones and stuff, but that's all part of exercise as far as I'm concerned. So, I'm every day trying to find a way to grow and be a little bit better, 1% better every day in some way. And just every little thing I can improve, I try to improve it. And I try to do that consistently. Try to keep a good mental outlook, I try to just keep my energy levels consistent, and just stay positive and not peak and valley, peak and valley, peak and valley. I try to take care of myself, eat well, hydrate. I do what I can with what I'm given and what I have right now. The more I accept the situation and focus on things other than myself and how shitty I feel, the better it will get, the more quickly it will improve. I know that from past experience. So, I'm going to find ways to be helpful. I'm going to find ways to, put out good energy and make people curious about fitness lifestyle and be a good ambassador for that. Disciple of Jesus Christ, same thing. Just be happy and shine that energy through me that is just undeniable. You see it coming from people. You're like, man, that guy is super happy. I just kind of want to go stand next to him. I don't know why, but if you haven't met someone like that, I hope you do, because it's super inspiring and it's there for you too. And I finally realized that. I didn't think it was, but it totally is. I can be that guy. So that's what I'm working on as far as my performance goes. Workout wise, still working out, still 4 days a week, still guinea pigging myself, still, at least trying to stay. Workout goals have changed over the years. They went from being the biggest and baddest as a teenager to being, the best at a bodybuilding sport in like the 20s, to now pretty much just being super functional and looking good naked in 30s. So yeah, goals change, but life is good. Stay swell, stay swole. I know that tonight was kind of all over the place as far as topic is concerned. Really the takeaway is, think about your pie chart of life and how your balance is distributed. You know, is there an area that you need to spend more time or less time? Do you even have a pie chart? Do you need to sit down and make one to see kind of how you are distributing your time? You know, is it something you've even thought of? But yeah, the time is the only resource that we will never ever get back. And it is the only resource that will eventually take us back. Because time will still be going on after we're gone. So, that being said, make the most of your minutes. Not on your mobile plan, on your life plan, my friend. Kiss your loved ones. Be good to yourself. Pet your dog. Slap your old lady on the ass. Enjoy life. Stay swell. Stay swole. Please like, subscribe. Comments, always helpful for the algorithm and for me, as long as they're constructive. Or flattering because I was naked in the bathtub. Either of those will be fine. But, you know, you can find me on social media again too. Yay. I'm on just under my name, Adam Coleman, on Facebook. So reach out if you have any questions. If you want to be a part of the Human Performance Project, if you want to know more about the Human Performance Project or make some suggestions, all are welcome. So hopefully I will hear from some of y'all soon. If not, thank you very much for spending your time this evening in the bathtub with me. It was awesome. I hope it was good for you too. And until next time, be good humans. Nighty night.